So, do you think they should be paid?
I personally think they should be paid because they're put on such a rough, they're like put on a rough schedule, and they're like, okay, like they wake up at like 6 a.m. They lift for like an hour and a half. They practice again for like 2 hours, and they go to class for like 2 hours, and then like another, and then lunch, and then another class, and like another practice, and they're not home and really until like probably like 11. Then they need to study for like 2 hours, and then it's like 1 a.m. Then they get 5 hours of sleep, and then it's repeat. It's just really rough.
I mean, but they want to do that though. Like that's their sport.
I know, but like,
And they went to college to play that sport. And I feel like if they got paid, maybe like everyone, not like they wouldn't like do it because they like the sport. They'd do it for the money, or more people would.
that's what the NFL is kind of turning it. That's what the NFL is kind of turning into. But like, I was saying it because they're like forced to live in these tiny. They're like the diet they have to maintain and like the food they have to buy for this. To like some colleges provide it, like Clemson, they have the whole like food dietitian that like they give food out, but like smaller colleges such as like colleges around here, probably like Wofford. Does Wofford have a football team?
Yeah.
They probably have to afford their own food and like.
Well, they have the meal plans like a regular college student.
But you have to go buy those.
But
like
with most football players, they have like say football players, for instance, they have full rides, so all that's included.
But like they have to buy this food to like, and they have to eat like carbs on carbs on carbs on top of other things like rice and chicken meat 24/7. They wake up and eat that.
Rice is good.
Rice is good, but like eating it every morning, afternoon, night, just to maintain 255 pounds of muscle. And they have to buy it, so it's a tough business.
It is a tough business. But what if, because they got paid in college, they're already so well off, like depending on how much they got paid, right? They're so well off. They don't want to go into the NFL.
I think they should be paid like almost like a minimum wage kind of thing, like during their practice hours.
$7.50 an hour.
Yeah, or just a certain amount a week or per month that they can spend on things by themselves. Not like a NFL like 4-year $52 million contract to go play college football, because then it would just be like, all right, I'm gonna play college football and then not play it past it. Yeah. Can I see the sheet?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, getting paid, they could invest in other things such as like companies, like, because it's say most players don't end up, like a small percentage, I don't know the exact percentage, but like not a huge amount of them make the NFL and then end up being successful. They're either on like the practice squad or they don't play and then they get released and then might up in getting a coaching job somewhere. But like giving them money in college, like not a millions of dollars, but like a substantial amount to like give them a head start in life.
It would be like the minor leagues in baseball.
You gotta a little better than that. They're paid really bad in the minor leagues. They're paid, but like it's pretty.
They
it's
get like
they're paid like
low A and stuff like that. They get like
$80 a week probably.
They probably make $5,000 a season.
Maybe. You got anything to say on here?
I mean, I see where you're coming from. That's about it.
That's about it.
But yeah, if college athletes got paid, it would take away
Or if they could pay them off their performance, they could give them what is it?
like benefits,
Like if they're
Incentives.
bad,
bonuses.
they give NFL incentives. Let's say a kicker,
But
makes
that would be playing time would be their incentive.
yeah, it could be how much the coaches want to because they see everyone in practice. Coaches could judge how much they want to pay them off of. There could be like a financial coach that sees how well they do in practice and talks with coaches and sees their opinion, and they could figure out how much they want to pay each player.
Certain amount of money per tackle.
Yeah. Because incentives, there was NFL. It's like a kicker, if they make 90% of their field goals,
Then they get a bonus.
they miss less than 3, and they get $2 million bonus, which is huge for an NFL kicker. Or if they make the All-Pro team in the NFL, they make a lot of money. In college, you make the All-First ACC team or the All-First team in general, you don't get paid anything for being one of the best players in college football.
every touchdown should be worth $1.
It's a cruel world. $1.
But say we just keep going back to college football. Say college football, for instance, if they got paid, what would be the point of going to the NFL? There would be no.
But that was the thing we are just talking about. We're not going to pay them enough to. It'll give them a head start, but it won't give them enough to make it through. They realize they probably need to go to the NFL if they want to.
But they already get that because 90% of the football players that play college football in a D1 school, which is probably the only type of schools that's going to be able to afford to pay their players, is big D1 schools like Clemson, Georgia, Alabama, LSU, schools like that. But they already have sponsors. You got IPTAY at Clemson. They sponsor their athletes. They provide, that's where athletes clothes and stuff like that comes from.
Yeah, I get it. I get where you're coming from.
I get where you're coming from.
But it's a school, right? That would just what if they paid high school athletes?
That's true.
It's a school, and in the end goal,
It's not an organization.
yeah.
But I do think you don't need to pay them millions of dollars, or thousands even, or even hundreds. You just pay them a certain amount a week or a certain amount a day. Yeah, $7.50 an hour.
$7.50 an hour.
Something to get them by and maintain a positive attitude. That's the thing. Mental health in this situation is probably pretty bad. You're in college, you go through the rough schedule of practice and schoolwork and study and then sleep for 4 hours.
It's called
That's
grinding.
I don't even know the word.
Grinding.
No. That is I get where you're coming from. That's a toll on your mental health to go through all that. Plus the CTE that you're going to get from getting destroyed for 4 quarters.
Financial compensation. You are now you are entitled to your
No.
financial compensation.
Mm.
Your lump sum cash settlement.
So you're saying because they go through hard practices and a rough schedule, they would pay them because of their grind.
Yeah.
I mean, I get what I hear where you're coming from.
I see where you're coming from.
I'm picking up what you're laying down.
What is it? And this isn't only NF or college athletes too. This isn't only football. This goes for basically all the sports. Mostly the main ones, but
Hockey.
Most schools don't have enough
Water
money to be
polo.
able to afford that, though.
Yeah, if one school paid,
they'd have to take funding out of other less important things like
Water polo.
yeah.
Me and Gavin said the exact same thing.
Does Clemson even have a water polo team?
I know South Carolina has a water polo team, and they won the national championship in water polo, I believe.
Surprised I didn't
Couple
hear
years
it.
ago.
I'm surprised I didn't hear Noah talk about that one time or another.
That's where I heard that from, Noah.
Really?
Yeah. And women's horseback riding.
Mm-hmm.
Top team in the nation.
But like,
women's basketball, horseback riding, and
Water polo.
I feel like they'd only pay like the sports that people care about. If they
But it's 2020 and it's all about fairness now. So if they did that, they'd have to pay everybody.
and including the water polo team, and nobody cares about water polo. I'm sorry.
Water polo doesn't even make it on TV.
I just think they should find a way to pay these players something that doesn't make them want to die when they're playing college football.
But
If you're not a big name player like Isaiah Simmons or Trevor Lawrence or Georgia players,
Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow, Swift, Brom,
don't
Higgins.
don't they
Biggins.
pay for their entire tuition though? Like
Depends on what you get.
like hey,
If
Because
you
if
get a
you're
full ride.
Because if you're not a big name player, you're not going to get that full ride, and you're going to get
yeah.
shoved to the bench for 4 years.
Like
if you
there's
go to-
some people that like they don't get a full scholarship.
let's just say Trevor Lawrence. He gets his tuition paid.
They walk on.
Really.
That's what some people do.
Mhm.
But
Mm.
but
Just like
in the
Hunter
case-
Renfro.
in the case that they do,
Indeed.
that's already a lot of money that the college is kind of paying them.
Yeah.
In my,
Well,
Super com-
they're not.
I mean,
They're not really paying them, but they're
They're
paying.
paying
They're
for their
paying their
college.
way into the college.
I mean that's what I'm trying to say.
But like they're not giving them.
Do you hear where I'm coming
Oh, and then on top of that, if they don't make it in the NFL, they're going to be shoved with a large amount of college.
from? Debt,
Yeah,
lots of it,
a lot of it.
especially if you go to a big school.
Mm-hmm.
Big schools are killer, man.
It's a tough topic, but I feel like even if they need to pay them for their endorsements. Like they should allow players like I'm gonna say it again, Trevor Lawrence. How about I called him Travis Lawrence for some reason?
Travis Lauren.
Trevor Lawrence to get a sponsorship with I don't even know Adidas or
Nike.
Nike.
Reebok.
Yeah,
Reebok.
anything, but they would like Nike would let him, or I mean, college football would let him, but like they were like, nah, you ain't making anything.
Yeah, but then the guys that aren't like big name like Trevor Lawrence, they aren't gonna get those sponsorships.
They gotta work harder.
Exactly.
Gotta get their
It's
name
gonna-
out there.
It would help college football in general because players would start playing harder.
Well, I feel like the players that make it to college football already play as hard as they can in the first place.
Some of them. I don't think Florida tries that hard.
Or South Carolina.
That is true.
South Carolina doesn't try that hard in football. They don't have to try that hard to go 6-5 or 5-6 or whatever their record was.
Are we good?
We're at 13 minutes, I think. We're good.
I believe that will end this debate of whether college athletes should be paid. That is us signing off.